Jackson.
And I'm Debbie Jansen.
We are two motor-mouthed mama bears willing to discuss current events with honesty and boldness.
We are truth warriors. No lie is too big, no deception too small.
We are sticking to the truth.
Yes, we are, Julene. I love it. I love it. Truth is really coming out. And thanks for blowing up my phone with pictures. I felt like I was with you during the inauguration blitz. But today I dressed for it because I don't live in Washington and I couldn't go to things. So I am having my own little ball here today with my fancy little glittery top and everything. So I am excited. I watched it all day on Monday and I thought it was wonderful. But today we're going to talk about what happened on Monday. No one can question President Trump's physical and mental ability to lead this nation. I'm sure. I left the television on all day and watched the festivities, and I was exhausted just keeping up with where he was and what he was doing. The way I figure it, they left for the morning church service about 8:45 a.m. and didn't stop until well after midnight. Wow. Everybody on the news right now is talking about that he just was a go, go, go on the first day. What do you think, Julene?
I dare say he probably didn't. I got home at 2:30 a.m. and I bet he got home. Maybe he beat me just a little bit, but it was a late night. Definitely. What is he? Is he 78, 79 years old?
Yeah.
Well, I did hear that he's recently lost 30 pounds. So maybe he's trying to, a new health regimen, but he only gets 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night. He doesn't require 7 to 8 like the normal, but he does, I read somewhere, drink 12 Cokes a day.
Oh, Diet Cokes, I think.
Well, maybe so, if he lost 30 pounds. So I'm going to be praying for him on that Diet Coke addiction. I know that can't be any good for him, but it was amazing. He did start with the little church service at I call it the little yellow church right across from the White House. It's the St. John's Church. And every president that has worship there has their little name on the pew. So I'd really recommend going to that church. The only president that doesn't have a placard that lived in the White House is President Obama. I don't know if we should read anything into that. And maybe Biden. I haven't been back since Biden has been in office. So if you worship there once, you get a little placard of where you sat. And so that's where he was in the morning. And then he went to the White House to have tea and coffee with Jill and Joe. And then they rode up to the Capitol for the swearing in. And then he spoke again to an overflow audience in the Mass Emancipation Hall in the Capitol because, the swearing in was moved indoors because of the chilly, frigid weather. And then he did a parade inside the Capital One arena. And all this time he's, we'll talk about the executive orders in a moment, but signing executive orders along the way. And then when we were I went to the Liberty Ball Monday night, while we were walking into the convention center, I got reports that he was still at the Capital One arena with the parade. And so I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be a long night. He hadn't even.
Oh my goodness.
So somewhere maybe he and Melania ate some sandwiches on the way to, the ball, but what a schedule that he had. And I have a feeling he's quite busy right now as well.
Yeah. Now you weren't able to go to everything, were you?
No, I felt like I did, but no, I wasn't. There were events starting that Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, there were nonstop receptions and breakfasts and balls and rallies. And so it was really quite a whirlwind of events in DC this last weekend.
Well, I'm just interested to know how some of the traditions started. What happened on Washington's Day when he was inaugurated? Was it this big or was it kind of small?
No, it was quite small. He was sworn in the Capitol and where the White House was, so to speak, where he was living was New York City in 1789. And so I think they probably walked over to Federal Hall, which is there today in the Wall Street district of New York City. And he was sworn in, hand on the Bible, and then Jonathan Livingston, who was a founding father from New York, yelled out, "Long live George Washington." And then there was a 13 gun salute. And you saw that gun salute
Yeah.
after the swearing in on Monday. And then they walked to the St. Paul Church. And there they covenanted with God that indeed they would be one nation under him. And so that was pretty much the extent. He did have a dance or a ball, if you will, a week later. And I don't think it was a big soiree like you see, nowadays. I think the first inaugural ball took place in Washington, D.C. when James Madison, the fourth president, came into power in 1809. Dolly Madison, she loved to party. And so
Oh, really?
she threw the first inaugural ball up at a hotel on Capitol Hill. And then, the demands for people wanting to attend got bigger and bigger through the years. So by 50 years later, they were starting to have multiple balls. And that is what you see today. So John Adams didn't have an inaugural ball because he actually, at that point, after New York City, they moved the governmental headquarters to Philadelphia. So John Adams and his little wife, Abigail, went back and forth to Braintree, Massachusetts, and Philadelphia, having no ball. And then Thomas Jefferson moved into the White House in 1800. Now, his wife had died, and he didn't have a ball either. I mean, bless his heart, Deb, he actually rode a horse from a boarding house where he was staying at that morning up to the Capitol to be sworn in. And then he rode the horse down Pennsylvania Avenue to the White House that was still really unfinished. They'd been working on it for 8 years. John Adams only lived there for 5 months before he turned over the presidency to Thomas Jefferson. But what started under Thomas Jefferson was the parade. So the second term of Jefferson, they had a parade on that same route that he rode his little horse the first time he took office down Pennsylvania Avenue. It's a straight shot from the Capitol to the White House. But there were three official. Yeah, I could go on and on about the balls. Don't get me started.
Tell us about the one president that had kind of a big ego, and he actually died a month after he was in there. Why?
That was Harrison. I think he was like the 9th president, and he was kind of older, so he wanted to prove to his people, his enemies, maybe, that he was, vibrant. And he gave in the cold. It was in March at that time, but it was still bitter and cold. He went for almost 2 hours, and he would die like 30 days later of pneumonia because maybe his ego,
Oh no!
So. Yes, but those balls are really fun. I mean, it is really, excuse me, Deb, it is a way that we honor American government and the peaceful transfer of power, and it's certainly a night of tradition and fashion and celebration, and they're pretty darn fun. We have performers and food. The president comes, he gives some remarks. The whole family. I mean, we might have some pictures here in a moment, but we're going to have lots of
pictures. I'm going to put one up right now because, let me see, I'm learning this new computer.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. Definitely. Women are dressed to impress at the balls. It's a black tie affair. There's the swearing in.
Now, this was inside, and we're going to talk about something that happened that a lot of people are upset, or some people are upset about. And I'm sure that President Trump was disappointed about it, too, but I understand why it happened. Trump had talked about it, and I think Melania had, that he wanted to put his hand not on one Bible, but two. And I'm positive that would have happened. But if you go back and look at the video, which I'm not going to show today, you can see that Justice Roberts started the oath for President Trump before Trump was even in place. And I'm sure the president didn't want to ask him to slow down. Melania had the 2 Bibles. You can see, well, in this picture, you can't see. Some of the others you can. But if you go check on that, you can see that she had the 2 Bibles. But she wasn't near him and was still walking toward him when Justice Roberts started, and the entire family rushes to get behind him there. I'm thinking that the president didn't want to interrupt Justice Roberts, and he didn't want to turn his head to check on Melania. If he had broken concentration on Justice Roberts, and because of that missed a word or jumbled something, you can bet there would have been an even greater stab from the other side at what happened. And I also appreciate that Melania accepted the situation with grace and didn't grab President Trump's hand and put it on the Bible, because that too would have caused a ruckus online. I can hear him saying she's bossy or she's in control or whatever. So I'm sure that it all happened because everyone was crammed in that small space. You can see how crowded they are there. That's why I chose that. Had it been outside, it would have taken Justice Roberts the same amount of time to get there that President Trump and the family needed. So I don't blame Justice Roberts. All he had to do was stand up and the others had to walk to him. It was just a difficult situation. What do you think, Julene?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Exactly. I mean, all the nations of the world, all the eyes of the world really were on this moment. And no doubt there were butterflies in a lot of people's tummies, no matter how confident these people are that, are standing there before them. They were probably a little bit nervous, if truth be told. And so, when you're nervous, sometimes you rush things a little bit. And look, Debbie, I think just the fact that Melania had the 2 Bibles, which I'm sure, again, it was a family Bible and the Bible that Lincoln used, because that's what Donald Trump used 8 years ago. Just the fact that they had the Bibles there tells you they intended to use them. But because things were so rushed and look, the family wasn't even there and everyone wasn't even in place. And Melania, you can almost tell as I looked at her face, she was like, should I do something? Just for a split second, it looked like she might. And then she said, no, we're just going to let this moment play out. And, it's almost like when you make Thanksgiving dinner and you put all the 25 things out perfectly, except that one dish that you forgot in the back of the refrigerator. And then you're like,
or you leave it in the oven until everybody
something. So, I mean, they were completely intended to put his hands on the Bible, I believe, or else they wouldn't have even had the Bibles there.
Right. Yeah.
But believe me,
I was watching it and there was hardly enough room to get your knees in from one chair to another behind it. So they were really packed in there.
Yeah, they were.
Well, I got a question for you. Do presidents organize their own inauguration day, or are there any have-to rules that presidents should follow? Because I was noticing that I had never seen it before on television, and the president and Melania went out and waved goodbye to Biden and Jill, and then the vice presidents came out and they were waving goodbye, and so they all were in the process of being kind to them, I thought. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that was a really nice, cordial gesture. I don't remember the incoming presidents going out and seeing them off as they took off in front of the Capitol. The Supreme Court was right behind him. And that was a really kind of a sweet visual of, all 4 of them, the 2 wives and the president, the vice president, waving as they went off. But look, I mean, this is the president's day. So, of course, there are traditional things that he did, the church service, the tea and coffee, the ride up to the Capitol with the former president, and the swearing in and the parade, so to speak, and the balls. But because of the weather, the swearing in was moved inside the rotunda. I mean, the last time that happened was in 1985 with President Reagan, and it was cold, let me tell you. I'm kind of glad, even though we had really good seats for the swearing in, but we
Yeah.
were going to like probably freeze our little behinds off because they were going to let people in to those grounds at 5 a.m. and the swearing in wasn't going to take place till 11:30 a.m. And
Oh my
so
goodness.
we just built a fire and held a watch party and we had a great time. But I mean, clearly after he left the swearing in the rotunda, he went to an overflow room called the Emancipation Hall. And that is where the wives of the congressmen were sitting and other various guests because there was only limited seating in that rotunda. So he gave an unexpected talk there just because he felt like being a little looser and freer, and it was unscripted and non-telepromptered, and I
Yeah.
think it went twice as long as his swearing in speech. And then the pseudo parade inside a basketball arena. It's called the Capital One Arena. It was certainly non-traditional, and I mean he's signing executive orders along the way, in the Capitol, in the
Yeah. Yeah.
arena. I mean, I'm like throwing pens out to the 20,000 people there in the arena. So he definitely put his touches on it and did it his way, as Frank Sinatra said. But no, they're kind of free to break with tradition, and we see a little bit of that, just maybe just out of the circumstances of not having such the traditional if the weather had held.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm bringing up a picture right now because I hope I'm not interrupting you, but
no,
this was one of the most exciting parts to me as a Christian, and as I have a minister's license, and also all the books I write about it, about praying. This was the pastor that I think Trump met with, him and some of his people, or it was in Detroit, and they've become good friends. And he did one of the benedictions. And oh my goodness, there was a lot of praying on Monday, but this prayer service at the swearing in was amazing. Franklin Graham also prayed, and his prayer was more outspoken than usual. He was talking more about God bless President Trump and thanking him for what he was doing and all this. But Reverend Lorenzo Sewell, and that's who we're looking at, the senior pastor at 180 Church in Detroit, he was ready to have revival in the rotunda. Let me tell you. And Ron and I were listening and we were clapping. Wow. Did you see this, Julene?
I saw him pray in person the night before at a ball I went to on Sunday night. It was called the Freedom Legacy Ball. And he got into it, and I'm thinking to myself, who is that man praying? Because he almost blew the roof off of that ball, off of that venue. I read that he had a radical encounter with Jesus Christ as a young boy, and he had never been the same after that. I mean, did you not love how he had us clapping our hands for joy at the end and petitioning the heavens, and it was, I loved it. I thought it was a great prayer, and I mean, Trump gave him a big old hug afterwards, and so they were definitely two brothers in Christ.
Well, yeah, he was great. Yeah. I encourage all of our listeners that just go to YouTube, put his name in, and take a listen to his prayer. I'm praying that his prayer will be answered in multiple different ways. It was really an excellent prayer. But let's take a deep breath and go on to all the fun you had. But first, I just have one comment. Did you see President Trump in the Oval Office signing the executive orders? What amazed me was that he was listening to his aide tell him what the orders were about. He was signing his name and taking questions from the press. Wow, this president can multitask. And he answered difficult questions without having any notes. He knows his job, and this is only day one. What do you think, Julene?
Yeah, I like his mental state. I mean, there's no brain fog going on there. He seems sharp as a tack. I mean, really, Deb, welcome to the dawn of the golden age of America. I mean, he hit the ground running. And his speech implied everything that he was going to do just that day as he starts off by declaring, two genders, man and a woman, and declaring a, national emergency on the border. He's getting on that border problem, and he's granting clemency. I mean, to the J6 folks, about 1,500 people that have been so mistreated, many holed up in jail. I think they're being released as we speak. And an energy emergency he declared, drill, baby, drill. He wants to bring back America and our economy like never before, establish a external revenue service, whatever that's going to look like, and bring in the service people that didn't take the COVID shot, reinstating them with back pay. And what do you think about the Gulf of America?
I love it.
And
I love all the things he's doing because it's common sense and because it's going to make America better. It's going to get us on the road to saying we're proud of America again, and I'm an American and I love this. And so I'm happy with a lot of the stuff he's doing.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to my husband last night, and he said 60 to 70% of the people love what these executive orders are saying. He's going to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion training government programs that have, not put the best qualified people in the positions, and ending the Green Deal. And I mean, just on and on and on. And so, this is pretty really exciting time to be alive.
It is. And I got all kinds of things running through my mind I'd love to bring up, because Julene, when you and I talk, we don't talk for 10 minutes on the phone. We're on the phone for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Ron says, how long can you two talk? I said, well, we're motor mouths. So we can get into a lot of this stuff. I'm going to say this as quick as I can, but I'm so glad about the DEI, because my thing, I always go to common sense too. And I don't want to have heart surgery, which I don't need, but have open heart surgery with a doctor that is there because of DEI. I want the best, most qualified, most fantastic doctor. I don't want to get on a plane where somebody was given the job as pilot. I want to know they're the best and they've gone through all the tests. So for me, it is not about race. If it's Black, if it's Asian, if it's whoever, I don't care. I want them to be the best. I don't want them to be given the job just because.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, we're putting America back on the position to be a leader again, putting forth common sense policies, and it's really exciting for those that want to do it the right way, want to do it the way our founding fathers intended. And it's very disturbing. I mean, we're seeing people, I mean, just the fact that Michelle Obama didn't come to the swearing in and didn't even go to Jimmy Carter's funeral a week or two earlier, I guess, is snub to Trump, because she clearly, has made it known that she does not like him. But I just think, there's going to be, and even the prayer service yesterday on Tuesday, the Reverend Episcopalian Reverend Booty, she's a lady, took the opportunity to, took her platform as a representative for church and God, really, and to impose her views on, immigration and transitioning children to the president. And so, clearly there is going to be some of that, but he's, I get a sense he doesn't really care what they think. Let them think what they will.
I think that's true too. And I'm so sorry that the faith element was hijacked for that. It's more important that ministers bring the faith out and say, this is how we go forward. This is how God helps us. Let's all pray. And that didn't happen, at least not in the part that was seen on TV. She may have done that later, but it kind of put a sour taste in everybody's mouth for that service. Well, I tell you what, we're running out of time. We got a lot to talk about. You went to the balls for all of us. So I'm going to share some pictures. Everybody at home, fluff your hair up. We're going to the balls with Julene. So, Julene, as I put the pictures up, just tell us about them and what was going on.
Well, we went to a gala reception like the whole weekend. Every company, every business, every cause was having parties and events and receptions and cocktail hours and whatnot. Moms for America, that you and I are both affiliated with, hosted
Yeah.
a gala reception where the governor from Virginia, Youngkin, was there, and Tulsi Gabbard, who is the director of national intelligence under Trump's administration, was there. Lee Greenwood singing his God Bless the USA performed. So it was a great evening, a celebration of motherhood and our role
Well,
as
I got
women.
some pictures here on that. This is actually your husband, Al, right?
Oh yeah, did I forget to say that? That's my love of 31 years. He's always he's
And
always good to.
this is
Yes.
you inside the ball. We can hear the music. We can see the lights. Here we go. And this was the
Then
program for
yes, yes.
Moms for America. And then this is Tulsi. Did she
Yes.
give a good speech?
She did. She's the former senator from Hawaii,
Yeah.
and I really like her. She really praised motherhood and her mother, and it was really sweet. I mean, we're going to be in good hands as she's the director of national intelligence. I mean,
Wow.
that's no small job, and I think she is up to the task. Yeah, she's delightful.
Yeah, I've heard her a couple of times on TV, and she is really smart.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, and what are we doing here?
Oh, this is the Freedom Legacy Ball that our Reverend Lorenzo prayed at. And we were guests of Congressman Burgess Owens. I don't know if there's a picture there of him. And he is a congressman from Utah. He and my husband are good friends. And we also escorted Bob Woodson, who from the Woodson Center, who is about Black empowerment, going to Black communities and changing it from the inside out. There's Congressman Owens. He's a former NFL player, so he had me put on his Super Bowl ring. This is not the Super
Oh,
Bowl ring right
that's
here.
what you're showing.
So,
You sent a picture to me, and
yeah. And
Ring.
that's his Super Bowl ring, and that is his lovely daughter. She's a mother of 3. So we were there at that ball. And that was right downtown DC. And that's some good friends. She also works with me in Moms for America, the Hirsches. And so this
She's
was not,
in charge of doing all the cottage meetings for
yes,
Women in History, and that's
yes.
great.
Yeah. So that this was not an official ball. So Trump and Vance were not there, but it was kind of the who's who. J.C. Watts was there, and Byron, the Black congressman from Florida, Byron Scott, I think, was there with his boy. He spoke. It was just darling. So it was a great ball. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. And now we're going to another one, right?
Yes. So this was one of the 3 official balls on Monday night. We went to this ball, the Liberty Ball. It's at the convention center. Debbie, I swear there was 10,000 people there. I mean, we had to walk in circles around the city for an hour and a half just to wind us through eventually into the convention center. There was actually 2 official balls in this convention center, the Commander-in-Chief Ball and the Liberty Ball. And the Commander-in-Chief Ball is where he was dancing with the sword. It was very funny.
Yeah.
And so we waited. We got in about 8 o'clock, and he didn't show up till 11. But we had a really cool Jason Aldean, country music star, gave us a full-on concert, and then the Marine Band and the Village People, and then here comes Trump, he and beautiful Melania, and she is just almost fashion perfection, and so lovely. They dance to a song, and they say to myself, "It's a wonderful life, a wonderful world." Yeah, what is that? 8 years ago, he did Frank Sinatra's "I'll Do It My Way," but this song was, the "It's a Wonderful World"
I can
song.
hear it in my head, but I can't quote it for you.
Yeah. And so he dances, and then all of the family, the vice president and Usha, come out, and then all the children that were there and the grandchildren, and then they all dance, and it's it's just marvelous, and they all just look gorgeous. Talk about dress to impress. And then he shared some remarks, about 5, 10 minutes, probably 5, 7 minutes of remarks. And he introduced every single one of his children and grandchildren that were there and said something cute about each one of them. And you could just tell how proud he is of
Yeah.
his family and his grands. It was really delightful. It was just a beautiful show
Oh,
of
that's great. Well, one of the things that I noticed on TV anyway was that Melania was so relaxed and she was having fun. I have a hearing problem, so I've learned to read lips, and I was watching while they were dancing, and it looked like to me was
yes.
really teasing with him and
Yeah.
kind of picking at him. And I can't remember if it was the commander in chief or if it was the Liberty Ball, but she once before, when he asked her to dance during the election process, she kind of went, no, Well, at the commander in chief ball, she started doing this and didn't do it for very long because I don't
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's her. But I thought it was cool too that at the commander in chief's ball, she danced with some of the officers, and so did he. And
Yeah.
I thought that was really neat. But
Yeah.
anyway, this looked like it was a fun ball. I'm so glad you got to go there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, even though I had to wait in line for almost an hour to get my coat afterwards, the coat check, it was worth it. This is a once in a lifetime. And it was, I know her navy blue coat and her little hat kind of looks stern. I think some people felt it was like a shield, but I think when she's in the company of friends, she's way more relaxed. But
Yeah.
just try having your home invaded and go through, your underwear
Yeah.
drawer, so to speak. And so she probably doesn't feel so compelled to be so hospitable to everyone because she knows that there's a lot of people that hate him and hate what he does. And so
And,
she was very relaxed and happy. They all were on that dance
and there
stage.
again, I didn't take the hat that way. I'm so tired. If we're going to have free speech, I think I should be able to say this. I am so tired of people being negative.
Yeah.
A model, if you study models or you are in modeling or you even read about modeling, you know that they don't smile a lot because they're protecting their face, and that hats have always been a sign of elegance, and
Yeah.
they are worn the way she wore it. So
Yeah.
I didn't get that at all.
Oh, I think she's absolutely elegant and regal and just so classy, and so I thought she looked fabulous. They all did.
Who's this last picture?
Oh, this was just a young couple. We got 6 tickets to the Liberty Ball, so we brought a young little couple there engaged to be married. They were a lot of fun. They're both
Oh,
law students in Washington, D.C., and so it was just a lot of fun to be with, people we loved, and it made the hours go fast, and we put on our best dresses. There was a lot of bedazzling dresses. People look fabulous. I was like, wow, it was like I just like walking around looking at all the gorgeous attire. So it was a great night.
well, neat, neat, neat. Okay, gal, we're running out of time. We ran a little bit over, but I think that's okay. I love it that you took us to the ball. Thank you. I've been to the ball now.
And you look beautiful in your velvets and your jewels and your rhinestones or something that you got sparkling there.
So, Julene, what is your tip for today?
Well, Deb, you kind of mentioned it. There was a lot of prayers during that swearing-in ceremony. There was 3 prayers before and 3 closing prayers. And it just made me think of the beautiful verse that Franklin Graham said, "Blessed is the nation whose God is their Lord." And we felt, the protecting hand of God over that event and over this nation. And I mean, just chills went up my spine when Trump said, when that assassin's bullet ripped through his ear in Pennsylvania, he knew that he had been saved by God to make America great. And in America, impossible is what we do. I love
I
that line.
love that statement. I
It
love
is
it.
what we do as Americans, our history, our forefathers, our little pilgrims, they did the impossible. And so we can dream big. We are a glorious nation under God. So President Trump said, because of that, we can live proudly, we can stand brave, and we can dream boldly. All things are possible with God. So we can hold our head high and be a part of ushering in this golden age of America. That is my soliloquy and tip for today.
I absolutely love it. And mine is close to the same. My tip is to encourage our listeners not to hide in the hole. Most all of us have been discouraged for the last few years. A bad economy, hateful comments, murders, bad news, anger, and just all around loss of hope for the future. And that may have caused you to hide in the hole, like going into a cave. Well, I'm just not going to participate. Sometimes when we go through those kinds of problems, the human spirit may not feel like accepting hope for the future. Just because your guy didn't win or President Trump is doing something you don't like, please don't allow that to keep you from having a hope for the future. Don't believe the lies that insist all hope is gone. It's not. Thank God it's not.
Mm-hmm.
We made it through the last 4 years, and no matter what side of the aisle you are on, you can make it through the next 4 years. Accept your right to be happy and search for ways to promote your self-esteem, your strength, and your success. Come out of the hole you were hiding in and let's work together. And that's my tip for today. Thank you for being with us. Subscribe to this podcast and join us again when we discuss fresh topics. You can ask a question or request that we dig into a specific topic by writing Debbie at debbiejansen.com. And thanks again to our wonderful producer, Ken Jansen. He taught me how to share these pictures, and he is wonderful. This is Debbie Jansen, and I'm sticking to the truth.
And I'm Julian Jackson, and we hope that you will keep sticking to the truth. We will see you next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.